takes forever to tune up their instruments. Yes. Welcome to the audio hassle-free 4th edition of the Almost There podcast. How are you, Alicia?
I'm good. How are you, Dan?
I'm pretty good. We're sitting here on a holiday Monday after the Easter long weekend.
Yes.
I'm battered and bruised. I allowed myself a few beers this weekend and a little bit of karaoke last night with friends of ours.
Yeah, weekends don't seem very restful anymore. Like, I'm always like so tired at the end of the weekend. And I'm like, well, I was already exhausted from the work week. This was supposed to be my recharge time.
Yes, exactly.
Also, I have to say, I feel like you're jinxing us with all of these like promises that we're going to figure out the audio.
Well, I've set a new target of episode 100 to be audio problem free. I think that's about the most realistic. Yeah, I think if we get to 100, and there's no reason we shouldn't.
Yeah. The problem is that all of our issues are user error, so we can't make any guarantees based off of ourselves.
No. And as you'll hear in the interview we do today, most of our errors are macro errors. That'll make sense to you once you listen to the interview. Alicia, where you been?
I have been to the Tom Green show at our favorite levity bar. So Tom Green was in Hamilton.
Yes, it's a magical time for those who don't know when Tom Green comes to Levity Comedy Club. I wasn't there all weekend. I had to stay away just to not get an underfoot of anybody. But
I think he did 5 shows. I went with my good friends for my best friend's husband's birthday.
Yep.
They've been married for a long time. I've known him a long time, so he's my friend too. So my friend Craig's birthday. We went to the earlier show on the Saturday.
Right.
So it was a lot of fun. It was really packed. This was like, I've been to Levity a bunch of times.
Yeah.
But it was really neat to see it like a real well-oiled machine. Like they were not messing around.
Yeah. Well, I worked the last time Tom came through, and just to let people know, he does 2 shows a night. So he did 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday. They sold out, so they added a Thursday show, 1 show on Thursday. So that's a lot for the club and their small staff, right?
Yes.
And these are proper sellouts. Whatever the capacity that the fire marshal allows for is how many seats there are in there.
Yeah.
So that's what I really mean about staying away and not getting caught underfoot. But we came very close. Okay, so here's the background. Patrick Coppolino, who's been mentioned on this podcast 1,000 times, he runs the club. He used to tour the world with Tom Green. They're really good friends. And so it's a really special time when Tom comes to town. And the last time he was here, I was working at Levity at the time. I think it was actually the last weekend I ever worked there.
As a server,
yeah. And it was my job at the last show on the Saturday night to seat people, or I was one of the team that was seating people is probably the better way to describe it. And I went to the first girl in the lineup. She was there with her boyfriend. She couldn't have been more than 25. She was holding in both hands a DVD of Freddie Got Fingered, the cult classic by Tom.
A DVD in this day and age?
A DVD in this day and age. Yeah. She was hoping Tom would sign it. But I let them in first. So I said, okay, where do you want to sit? And she said, get me as close to Tom Green as you can. So I put him in the front row. And then as I was walking away, I went back, I tapped her on the shoulder, like, you can't talk or try to kiss him while he's...
I hooked you up, but there are still rules.
Yeah, but I've never seen like that cult of personality like that, that love. We get a lot of stars through.
Yeah.
But no one on that scale where like she wasn't the only one who was in awe of being near Tom Green.
One of those
Green,
things where someone can just like say a random bunch of words and people will cheer, you know, like he had like catchphrases and stuff. Like I've never seen that kind of act before. I guess.
Right. Yes,
at least
he certainly does, doesn't
like
he? He has his catchphrases. And one thing I love about him, he doesn't put up with hecklers.
Yeah, so he brought I think for all his shows, he brings his dog up on stage.
I know, Charlie.
And like pretty quickly, I guess someone like reached out to try and touch his dog. He's like, don't touch him.
Someone reached out to pet his dog?
I guess so, or just put their hand out maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I thought that was a great crutch because the first night he was there, I guess the dog's got to get used to each new club. But there was like 5 minutes of Charlie up.
Yeah,
He's trying to get Charlie up into the chair.
Too, yeah.
I'm like, that's great. I wish I had that in my act.
It's a fun way to start off. Yeah, but Lindsay hooked us up and set us up in like the back tables.
Nice.
So we had a perfect little view of the stage. It was awesome.
Look at you guys getting the preferential treatment.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm glad to hear that. That's amazing.
And then after that, actually, I went to join a separate birthday party, met up with some familiar faces. comic Kelly Holtz was there. Elaine was there. Our good friend.
Well, Kelly's been on the beers this weekend because I ended up at Tracy's with her and our good friend Elaine last night.
Oh yeah, well they were out 2 nights in a row. So
The only reason I agreed to go to this karaoke bar is because it was close to home. I'm like, I'm gonna abandon my car, meet up with these folks, and then if I need to wander into the darkness, which I did, that's what I'll do. It's only a 5-minute walk away.
Yeah. So, well, that was the first time I've done like a proper like Augusta bar crawl. I think we hopped to a few different places.
Oh, cool! Yeah.
So that was fun. It was a different Hamilton nightlife experience than what I'm used to.
Yeah, but it always ends up at the Lion's Head last Saturday of the month doing the karaoke.
Yes, and then we ran into another familiar face, Ike, another comic.
Right. Yeah.
He's an awesome singer. It's always fun bumping into him at karaoke. So.
He's enthusiastic about it. I'll give him that. He's a character. Ike lives above the Lion's Head, eh?
Oh, really?
So he's more of a regular there than I am.
Yeah. I didn't know that was possible.
Imagine my shock when I found out. Imagine my shock.
So where you been other than the Lion's Head again?
Well, I've been my usual doing lots and lots of shows and abandoning sleep in pursuit of this crazy dream. But I did get to do something really fun, if you want to call it a full circle moment. I don't know. But I went and played Memorial Hall in my hometown.
Oh, of Waterdown?
Of Waterdown. I got to work with two absolute legends of the game, Scott Falconbridge, who's been on the show, and Paul Haywood, who I hope to get on the show soon. 166 people at Memorial Hall.
Wow.
Put on by the Lions Club. And I had a lot of fun with it, but like, when I was in bands in high school, we played Memorial Hall, right?
That's fun.
And as you can imagine, it's been 30 years since I've been in there. It's had a lot of renovations.
Were you having like flashbacks when you walked into it?
No, not at all. No. Not at all. Some friends from high school were there. Nice. It was great.
Did you know they were going to be there, or was that a surprise?
I didn't know they were going to be there, which was great. And some of them, like, I hadn't seen since high school. Yeah. So it was very fleeting. Fun. Oh my God, you've aged well.
And did they know that you were like on
Absolutely,
the show?
Yeah. This one girl, Tanya Martin, she's like, oh, I married blah blah Tasso Perdiculius, and I'm like, oh, that's cute. And he couldn't make it because he had something on tonight or whatever. But him and another guy, Jeff, really wanted to come. So I think we should do the show there more often, or I should get them out to our Burlington shows.
Nice.
But that's just me trying to sell tickets.
Yeah. Is this your new strategy? Personally calling out potential fans, or not fans, but ticket buyers on the show?
If you were to visit the Content Marketing Institute's website, you would see on the homepage that personalization is the key. I'm going back to old-fashioned individual emails.
Personal call-outs until everyone's made it to one
Exactly.
of your shows.
If I had the time to do that, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? Just be an emailing machine. I think there needs to be two of me, is the point. Yeah. I also had an interesting experience at the weekend. I was at Backroom Comedy. I've been taking care of my boss's dog. She was away with her daughter watching Olivia Rodrigo in Toronto at the Scotia Bakery. The pictures look amazing. I'm so happy for that kid. You know what I mean? She's only like 10 and a half, and she's already seeing big arena shows, you know? I'm so happy for that kid. But anyway, so I'm taking care of the dog, and I was going to do 2 shows in Toronto on Friday, Backroom, and head over to the Comedy Lab and hit their open mic. And I got a message. My dog sitter, I was going to have someone come over and walk the dog. They fell through. They said they couldn't make it. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll do the one show and I'll come back. So I did. I took Bullet, and then I ended up talking to some people. And before I knew it, I'd been there an extra 20 minutes. So I got myself into a panic going, man, you need to hit the road now. And, wallet, keys, AirPods. Oh, there's my AirPods. I grab pair of AirPods off the thing, got all my stuff. I head out the door, get home, empty out my pockets, walk the dog, obviously, and then empty out my pockets. I've got 2 sets of AirPods.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so I've managed to steal a gentleman by the... I'm a tea leaf, is what I am, as they say in England. But I contacted Jawallet, who owns them, and this might seem a little gross to you, but it's a real life-defining moment when you're looking at 2 sets of the identical product, trying to determine which one's yours by earwax distribution.
I was going to say, how do you know? Are you going to have to sanitize both?
No, I know which one's mine because...
you're familiar with your own work?
Exactly. I've been looking at them for months going, I should really change that.
Oh, yeah. I should do something about this. I'm disgusting.
Yeah. How come I'm tired all the time, but I have no problem producing earwax? What is... you know what I mean? Dear body, cut down on the earwax production, put a little more caffeine into something else. All right. That's a good place to start. I think we got a good energy up. I think our audience is really going to like this interview. Who are we talking to today?
We're talking to another dear friend of mine who we've mentioned before, Thomas Bodnar, who's the man who did the music, which we get into in the interview.
Yeah, and I don't think we have to say much more than that because the interview speaks for itself. It was a lot of fun to do, and I think that translates into the amount of laughter. And if you want a really fun drinking game, you can have a shot of vodka every time I cut Alicia off.
That might become a theme. We're working on it.
All right, enjoy. Welcome to Cocktail Hour. We are here on the West Hamilton Mountain, an undisclosed location, in a place fit to be used as a Bond villain's lair. That's why we can't tell you where it is, because you would show up. It's that gorgeous. And Alicia.
Yes.
Who are we here with today?
Today we are here with Thomas Bodnar.
Thomas Bodnar.
Who you may have heard us
Thomas.
mention before as the man who did our amazing music for us.
That's right. That's right. Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was my pleasure.
No, I think that makes the podcast seem really, really professional to have really good music. I love the fact that we have unique music that is we own and that we commissioned and that we made happen. But maybe we should take a step back a little bit. How do you two know each other? Because it was Alicia who brought you to this project, and thank God she did. But where did you two meet?
We met in high school, Burlington Central, BCHS.
BCHS.
We go way back. Well, I guess we started going to school together in grade 7, actually. So pre-high school. But we didn't really start talking to each other, get to know each other until later in high school.
Yeah, for some reason, I think in grade 9, I started just being mixed in with all the classes of the French immersion kids and no classes with all the other kids I'd gone to school with since kindergarten.
Oh, really?
It was
Yeah, that happened to me in a way, yeah.
Which was fine, because then I ended up just hanging out with you guys more anyways.
Yeah.
They were like all musicians, or at least,
the guys of the group
the guys.
were. And Mimi.
So we all hung out and did that.
Oh, yeah, that was back when we didn't let girls do things.
Yeah.
Well, so I was in French immersion, so the French immersion kids, we had no classes with anyone else until really grade 10 even, because we had so many specifications of what classes we needed to take in French. And grade 7 and 8, we were just on our own. So you were maybe one of the first outside non-Frenchies to become friends with the Frenchies.
Yeah, I remember it was science class with Mr. Rhodes. And then maybe, that's all I remember really, grade 9. It's hard to say.
Do you remember being terrified?
A lot, so.
Yeah, I hear you. But do you remember being terrified going into grade 9?
Maybe a little bit. I don't know. I don't know if I was terrified. I started smoking weed in the summer of grade 8. And that was all, I don't know. Yeah, that was the baseline for the rest of high school.
I got to say, that's pretty young, even by...
We had lots of older brothers who were friends.
Sure.
Oh,
yeah. How else would you find out about these things?
My best pal was 2 years older than me, my neighbor, so it was all... kind of happens, right?
And Burlington was also very boring, so you had to find something to do to make it more exciting. So there was a lot of teenage drinking, a lot of smoking.
Yeah, I don't think the younger generation does that. We were the same in Watertown. I always tell the story about how one time we had nowhere to party, so we went to the other side of Highway 6, where at the time it was completely undeveloped, and we partied in the dip of a road. It was a dirt road.
I love it.
Yeah.
And it dipped down a little bit, and it felt nice and secure, like nobody could see the fire we were about to light. We partied there till the wee hours.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, Tom and I and our crew, we used to drink on the football field of our high school.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what
because
inspired
it was so
that?
Dark.
You know what inspired that? Dazed and Confused. That's what they do in the movie Dazed and
do that.
Confused.
Yeah. Don't they?
But it was just perfectly dark, and if the cops did come in, there were multiple avenues to run away.
Oh,
They
nice.
did come a couple
And it
times.
happened, many a time. And then we continued doing that into our legal drinking years, after
right.
the bar shut down, we'd go to the football field.
Yeah.
Nice.
And we'd stay there until the sprinklers would come on, and then Kaylee and I would take off our shirts and run in the sprinklers.
I don't think I was ever there for the sprinklers.
Yes, you and Luke were always there. Yeah.
I don't ever recall there being sprinklers.
Thomas professes his innocence.
Our school wasn't that rich. They had sprinklers.
Well, this is after we graduated. This was after they'd fundraised for like the scoreboard or whatever that I don't know if it ever is.
They probably put the sprinklers in to keep you guys off the grass.
Well,
and then they'd look out the window and there you are. Frolicking topless.
On a hot summer day.
Yeah, but yeah, one thing I wanted to talk to you about was the whole like process of us working on this and the music that we did here.
Yeah. I want to know, Thomas, you've collaborated with a lot of people over the years. We were the best, right?
Like, we were the best, hands down.
Really? It was so easy, wasn't it?
So easy.
So easy. I think, without taking anything away from the work that you did, like we had a couple sessions where we talked about our ideas, what we think things should look like, and what our needs were, because we have definitely different segments of the podcast. But like they always say, like a casting director doesn't know what a casting director is looking for until they actually see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I didn't know what the music would sound like until I actually heard it. Right? You know?
Yeah.
I don't think we gave you that tight a mandate, but I'm over the moon with it. I think it really pulls the whole thing together.
Yeah.
You know?
I was very overly critical of myself. I was very nervous. So
were you? You take it out on your family, and when you're in the creative process.
Of course. No.
That's why you're still married.
I'm happy it worked out. I at first you sent a couple of ideas. You want it like this, like that, and I thought, oh man, I gotta make it sound like this. And then we had that second meeting. And I was like, I got full creative vision here. I can just do what I want. And you're like, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna, I gotta follow my gut. You know, that's where the true creativity comes out.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, had you ever worked on a project like this where people came to you to like commission music?
Once was for a very short film, and it was only accordion, and it was for.
Accordion.
Wait, you play accordion?
I have lots of instruments.
If we'd known that, I'm just kidding.
We would have requested accordion, and I would have said, make it sound like Atlantic City by the band. Which song? All of them. Make it sound like all of them.
And that was about it. That was when I had nothing to do with my life, so, you know, I didn't mind just hanging out. I recorded in my bathroom, because I heard bathrooms have good reverb.
Yeah.
So I did it in my bathroom, and then... It was pretty quick. It was just one take, you know. It was like 2 minutes, and that was it.
Nice.
It turned out okay.
So when did music come into your life? Are you from a musical family, or?
I don't think there's... I think maybe like my mom talks about some of her family members that were musical.
Right.
My dad had a good singing voice, but not really. I have like photos of me as a 3-year-old with like a guitar and a microphone, you know.
Always rocking out.
I loved ABBA. I was like raised on ABBA.
Nice.
Like it, yeah.
Love ABBA.
Good harmonies, good catchy tunes.
Great foundation.
There's something about a Swedish pop song, to be fair, that is different than anything else in the world and really catchy.
Yeah. ABBA's great, so... But I don't know. I'm not really sure. I got a guitar, I think, when I was like 8. I took piano lessons when I was 5 for like 3 or 4 years.
And did you have did you feel you had a natural aptitude or just the curiosity to stick with it?
Maybe a bit of both. I think the curiosity was always the biggest driver in anything creative that I do. It's always me wondering and trying to dig deeper into something.
Yeah.
And I think the innocence of not knowing what you're doing always creates the best stuff. Like you're asking me about the mixing board. I kind of play around with it and... You know, you don't really know what's going on, and I feel that's like the best.
I think that's the vast majority of people, but you have to pretend you know, right? Like you can't
until you make it,
especially if you're a guy. You can't not know. And then I just look at you disappointed. I'm like, but you mixed stuff before. How did you do it?
You figure it out. That's why I'm always afraid at work when someone comes to work with me, like, oh, they're gonna figure out I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, the imposter syndrome of it all. Yeah.
Like I feel like if you're an accordion player these days, you're a second generation accordion player. Like, where did the accordion come into it?
So there was one at we had this place called Buy and Sell City. It was like a pawn shop.
Okay, where's that?
It was in the plaza. There's a whole Longo's Plaza by
in Burlington?
Mapleview Mall.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I know it well.
My mom lives like 5 minutes from there. So
I used to live in the Warwick Court Apartments until July of last year. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Small world.
It is. Yeah. So
I always used to frequent the pawn shop there, and they had this accordion, and I remember I didn't have money, and we were out that day with Luke and his sister, and I wanted to buy it, and his sister was like, I'll just pay for it, and you don't pay me back later. Don't worry about it. So she bought it for me. And then my mom was so pumped because you know, her uncle or whatever, brother played accordion. So she said, I'll pay for it for you. So my mom paid her back. And then that's how I got the accordion. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, right. And so are you self-taught or?
Yeah, it's the curiosity, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how to play the accordion, but I have a good ear. If I hear something, I can play it, you know, and then...
So you play all the classics like Smoke on the Water?
No. I never...
Some Weird Al?
One thing I never really did was, like, learn other people's music. Sometimes, like, I know John Frusciante, for instance. I know a lot of his, like, acoustic songs and
Is that
stuff,
right?
'cause I really like him, and then, but otherwise, like, not really, you know. I was never like trying to learn some other song.
So John Frusciante is the guitar player, returning guitar player to the Chili Peppers.
Yes, that's right.
A real creative driving force
Yes.
behind them, and he has a bunch of solo albums out there.
So many.
I bought one. I think it probably about 15, 20 years ago at Mapleview Mall, back when you could buy
Holy
CDs
smokes.
or something like that.
Which one?
Oh, I'm like, I'm really into this guy. I got to get it. I can't remember the name of it, but like
Remember
track
what color it
2
was?
is literally him singing into the pickups of the guitar, and I was like, what the fuck is
Yeah,
this?
he's a genius. I don't know if it's human. Yeah, he talks to the ghosts. that
He's
live in his
so
walls
so smart and so much of a genius. His stuff is unlistenable, or at least. But I appreciate that he put it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, he was on
it doesn't
like
have
a lot
to be
of
a number
drugs
one
for
hit
some of
single.
it.
Yeah,
he
would
still
imagine.
hasn't like re-released "Smile from the Streets You Hold." Like you can't buy that. You gotta go to YouTube to listen to it.
I think some of those releases may have been called contractual obligations.
Yeah,
but
he
he's
said
been
he
through a
did
lot.
it for like drug money or something. So I think that's why he hasn't re-released it.
Yeah, well, one of the things that we became friends over was music, because I feel like we kind of had music taste that wasn't necessarily the mainstream.
Sure, yeah.
So when you like meet someone who knows a band that no one else really knows about, and you start talking about that and like bonding over it, and even you brought up a couple months ago, there's this band that The Magic, was it?
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Or
I don't know if it was Magic or The Magic.
And we
There's
can't
like
track it
50
down.
bands that have magic in the name.
Oh, really?
I cannot find this band. Yeah.
Anytime I try to
Interesting.
think about what their songs sounded like, I just think of Montreal. And I'm like, I know that's not it, because that's of Montreal, but...
That was a great experience. Chris Bird took me to go see them once somewhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he drove me there. He gave me something. He's like, this is a little bit of acid if you want to take it. So I was like, okay. And then nothing
What else
happened.
could you do with it? Yeah.
We were there so early that the bands were like there hanging out, staring us down. 'Cause we were the only people in the room. I didn't know it was the band. I'm like, who's that short guy dressed in like all leather staring at me, you know? And then he went up, he was the front man of the Magic, and he like killed it. And I was like, wow, that was awesome, you know? It was good.
Do you remember the venue? What venue was that?
I have no idea. I don't even remember what city it was in. It started with a B. Could have been Brantford. Could have been Brampton.
Nice.
It wasn't Burlington.
No.
we
Okay, I was
drove-
going to say
we
that was the
drove
obvious
away.
answer.
Yeah.
Interesting. So we're on the hunt for a band. We're going to need the people who listen to this podcast to find this band.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Any idea the song title? What was it? A 5-piece, 4-piece?
One song was about like a fire truck or a fire hall. Like I don't know.
Too many years
there was
ago.
a few members. There was 5 or 6
were you
members.
taking acid and watching Paw Patrol?
It's all.
Well, I don't know what
their
city it was.
imagination. Travel there on a magic bus.
You know, if I'm like,
You never left the couch, Thomas.
if I'm not the one organizing the event, I don't care
got
to
you.
know all the
That's
details.
the
I don't know
privilege.
where we're
Yeah.
going. I don't know what time it's at.
Just
you know,
along
I
for the
follow
ride.
Yeah, but if I'm organizing, that's another story. I'll know everything. I'm organized. And
Yeah.
If I'm off duty, I'm off duty. You know.
Yeah, you should enjoy that privilege if you're off duty. That's for sure. Yeah, I don't like being asked a lot of questions when we're out having fun. I don't want to answer questions. I'm having fun. Yeah, this is when we relax. Cool.
Another thing I wanted to talk to you about, and I'm going to say this is one of the reasons that I came to you about doing the music for this in the first place, because I mean, over the years you've made a lot of music, you've been in a lot of bands and everything like that. But the thing I kept going back to was something you did in high school, which was a project for a book report, I guess, for A Girlfriend in a Coma.
It was the summative project for whatever grade that was. I think it was grade 11.
The Douglas Adams book, is that his name? Or is
Yeah.
it Douglas Copeland?
Oh,
Douglas Cope.
Doug Adams did Hitchhiker's
His
Guide.
Guide to the Galaxy. So it was
Copeland.
Douglas Copeland. Oh, you guys read that in high school?
Yeah.
Well, they made us read it.
Yeah, they made us read it.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember exactly what the project was, but I think we were like meant to do something kind of out of the box.
He said we could do anything we wanted.
Anything
you wanted, you could do.
It just had to be approved
And that was just
beforehand.
music to your ears, was it?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
And I think it was even meant to be a group project, and you were like, I'd rather do it alone. Is that correct?
I think maybe that was part of the freedom, was if you wanted to do a group, you could do a group.
Right.
He really, he just said to do anything. I don't remember if I was like, no, I'm alone or not, but...
Because I remember being in a group, and none of us did the project. We showed up to like bring our parts at lunch before it was due, and you were like, well, none of us did it. Then I was like, what if that's the project? It ties into the themes of the book. Let's just write an essay about how we didn't do the project. So that's what we
That worked out. Good.
I think we got like a B, and like Brennan was like clever, but like you're lucky I'm not failing
And
you.
a personality is born.
He was like, I respect the audacity, so you pass, but let's not do this again.
Yeah, that was great. That was like full creative freedom too,
Yeah.
right? So
what you ended up doing was like you basically like wrote an album or like a few songs.
I wrote an outline of like the book. So I was like, what are the high points in the book, and key happenings. I rented a camera from the school.
Right.
I got stoned.
Yeah.
I jammed on this outline. And then later I reviewed it, with all my wits about me, and I kind of constructed it into these like 12 or 15 little songs. Some of them were anywhere from 10 seconds to 60 seconds long. I wrote all the lyrics out because I think that he needed something to mark. So I handed him like the lyrics. That's really what the meat of it was.
Yeah.
And then I remember it was on a Wednesday or a Thursday, and I was so nervous. And our meat manager used to buy us booze back then. On the weekend, you'd ask him like, "Hey,
Your meat manager.
yeah, I worked at Longo's at the meat
Okay,
department."
that's important. I didn't know.
What kind of meat was he managing?
Was that put on by the school board?
So I was working the night before, and I was like, Paul, I don't know if I should use his real name. Can you get me some whiskey, like a Mickey whiskey? He was like, it's Wednesday. Like, what do you need this for? So I have this presentation. I'm really, really nervous. I just wanted to have a couple drinks. He was like, no, I'm not doing that.
Oh, I like Paul.
Yeah, he was a good guy.
Yeah.
He was, you know.
But
He
then
was
so
fine
how'd
to
you
have
get the
booze, but
whiskey though?
I just, my parents had a bunch in the bay. I just filled up a little flask. I had a couple drinks beforehand. And then I went and performed it. And I had the pajama pants under the pants.
Yeah, I
of
was going to say, so
course.
from my perspective, so like Tom goes up and starts performing, and we're all like, okay, this is really cool, awesome. Everyone loves Tom. We're all excited to see what he has for us. But then, and I don't know at what point I told we had a friend who always had her digital camera with her. And like pretty quickly I was like, Mimi, you need to record this. Like, this is going to be great. So she started filming it. And then as your presentation progressed, like you kept commenting between every song, but like, oh man, like I thought it was going to be really cold today, so I wore pajama pants under my pants. Anyways, here's the next song, and then he'd start singing. The next one, he's like, okay, I'm just going to take my sweatshirt off, okay? And then so went through the whole thing just with little commentary between every song that was just so funny.
I couldn't take the sweatshirt off because I was so sweaty underneath. That was the problem.
So just you like slowly melting down between all of these songs that were like very good, but also because of the content of the book was a bit silly. Like the one thing I remember is you doing like the repeating like Susie's getting an abortion.
I still remember some of the songs. I got a 95 on that.
Yeah, I like you should have gotten 100. It was amazing. It was so good.
Couple of belts of whiskey before school every day.
Yeah. So this is like a legend in our friend group. We're all like, oh, Tom's girlfriend in a coma project. We all just bring it up every now and then. And it does live on somewhere on Facebook.
Oh, it's there, yeah.
Yeah.
I have to dig through. I don't know if I was tagged in it or if I go through Mimi's videos for that. But
It disappeared for
I've
a while.
seen it a couple times.
Yeah,
Every
I
like
love going
5 or
back
6
to it.
years, I'll dig
Yeah.
it up and I'll watch it.
Well,
just
try
from
and find it and link our podcast to it so that we can share it.
The origin stories. Who would have thought started with girlfriend in a coma, and here we are now.
Yeah.
Because even when, like you were saying before, when you were like working on this, you were a bit nervous.
Yeah.
So we were messaging, and I was like, Tom, I trust you. Like, I like know what your music sounds like. That's why I asked you to collaborate with us. And I think you even mentioned it first. You were like, I was kind of thinking about Girlfriend in a Coma, and I was like, that's what I've been thinking about this whole time. Like, just go with that instinct, whatever. Like, just go with that.
That was your direction to him for the music, Girlfriend in a Coma?
Yeah, as an aside, yeah.
Okay.
After we'd had our own meetings, and he had all that information.
Right. You went behind my back, is what you're saying. This is where we fall out, Alicia.
But look at the product. So
that's not how it works. You can't manipulate me and then say, "Look at the results." Awesome. So, obviously, I think you're famous for a couple of things in high school. Let me ask you, Alicia said on the way over about some pranks or things, not really pranks, but art installations, shall we call them, that you pulled off in high school. And I'm wondering if Andy Kaufman is an influence on you in any way.
I had no idea who that was until I saw the Jim Carrey movie.
Right. Oh, really? Okay. Interesting.
What are you referring to specifically?
Are you talking about the lead balls? I'm not even quite sure.
There was a couple of stories you told. The lead balls.
I don't know if they were. Okay. No, the 420, the bathrobe.
The bathrobe. Yeah.
So you came to school in a bathrobe.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it mushroom tea or was it weed tea that you attempted to make?
I don't. I was definitely high.
And
it wasn't mushrooms. I wouldn't do that because there's no social for me.
Right.
Just alone for that usually. So
but would you have known that in grade 12 or whatever?
Maybe
it was
not.
like? Yeah.
Maybe I'm still discovering that. To be honest, that's a good comment.
That was the next trip.
And you didn't get in trouble. You didn't get sent home.
There was
did
one
you?
substitute teacher who was, I think, trying to exercise her power, and she told me I had to disrobe. I said no problem, but I just got my undies on under this,
Right.
So she was like, okay.
Keep the robe.
I think all the teachers didn't mind.
Like flash me, but keep the robe. Keep the robe. Yeah.
I think that's a testament to our school and the teachers
really
that we had.
Brave when you consider that weed was illegal at the time.
Yeah, well, I wasn't I'd do that in somewhere secluded and then,
Right. You'd hide out and have your tea and then come out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Some teachers a little bit. I feel bad about it now, but
I don't know, man. I always think if just looking at the world of comedy, if someone had once a year gathered up all the class clowns and brought them into one room and sat in front of them and said, "Oh, by the way, there are ways that you can make money and a living off the fact that you're a complete smartass."
Yeah.
I think that would be a lot better. I think people would find their place a lot easier, and comedy would be healthier because, it'd be a little bit more structured. There'd be more of a draft system, if you will.
Apparently that's how Jim Carrey got started. He had a teacher who was like, if you just shut up during class, I'll let you get up and do silly things in front of the class.
That's right. That's right.
That's what he said.
Yeah, you can have the last 10 minutes.
Yeah. I remember reading that, and I have a friend we have a friend who's very loud, and he was always the class clown. I've went to school with him since grade 1. And ever since I heard that about Jim Carrey, I was like, maybe Alex should do stand-up. And I've been trying to get him to do stand-up since grade 4.
Right.
And he won't do it, but now I'm putting it out there. I'm publicly being mad about it. I'm coming for you, Alex.
Bring him to a show.
I'm trying.
We'll drag him up. We'll get him some of his tea and, and a bathrobe so he can at least get a couple laughs. And then there you go. You got ahead of the game, kid. But it's one of those things. It's like a leap. Like you talk about sweating hard while you're performing. That was just straight out of nerves, right?
I sweat a lot in general, so it was extra.
The lights don't help. The lights are very, very warm on a stage usually. Yeah. But you're right. That's usually my body's reaction to a little bit of mild stress in front of people. Let's create puddles on the stage, shall we?
I think there was a few shows with Tetro I just played in my boxers. I would take my pants.
Tetralight?
I forgot.
Was that the name of the band? Tetro. Oh, okay. What is that supposed to mean?
I have no idea. I wasn't really part of that. They picked it, and then I was okay.
They just needed a hired gun. You came in as the axe man.
No, there was the whole thing with that band, right? Because you had a different band name that you had to change.
Yeah, we named our band Hudson Ohoski after my nephew, and then that didn't work out because my obviously my sister and her husband didn't like that.
It's a really good name. That's a nice
I thought so
name.
too. Yeah, for sure. It's got a good ring to it.
And obviously they did because they named their child that.
Yeah.
We played a couple shows as Hudson Ohoski, and then they changed it to Tetro, and then we played for a few years like that. There's a lot of drama though, but
bands are hard, man. Bands are really hard.
Yeah, we had like two of us, myself and the other party, who were really the creative driving forces, and we both had different visions, and we were writing two different styles of songs.
Right.
So people would say it sounds like there's two different bands, you know?
Right.
And then it obviously didn't work out.
Right. Yeah. The one thing I would have liked to have known about being in bands when I was in high school, because I wasn't very good at my craft, nor did I care to become. I played bass, right? So as long as I could follow the first finger of the guitar player, that was my approach to it. I just wanted to perform. I didn't know that at the time. But my one piece of advice that I wish I'd have known is just follow the most talented people in the band. Do you know what I mean? Like, if your guitar player is the most talented, it's his band. If the singer's the most talented, just do what the talented people want to do.
Interesting.
You know?
Yeah, sure.
But then the issue
be the
comes up.
supporting act and, try and support someone else's vision if they're the ones with the actual
Sure. Okay.
But then when you have
know?
multiple very talented people, like I think that was kind of,
that was
if
the
you
issue,
don't mind my interjecting there, it was like two very distinct people with very different visions or whatever. Both like very talented people.
Talented. He's such a good musician.
But that, I think at the time it was when it was still going by Hudson Ohoski, but that was the band that played in my dad's backyard, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's actually how your sister found out, maybe because you recorded it and like released it as an album.
Yes.
If I remember correctly.
I still have those recordings.
Yeah, that was really good. That was so much fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, we just had you.
Hat. I don't know where that hat is. It was one of my favorite hats.
As long as you still have the recordings.
Yeah. I can't remember what the motivation was. Maybe it was just we were all home from school. And I was like, why don't you guys just get your shit together and come play in my dad's backyard?
That was so cool, honestly. That was awesome.
So we had you set up on like the deck and we all just hung out and watched.
Yeah.
Got drunk, had a good time.
Yeah.
And just played like originals because you're not an into covers kind of guy.
Yeah, they were all originals. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. I play a little bit of ukulele these days because I don't want to carry a bass and an amp around. So that was always one of my goals, or at least it was a goal before the pandemic, is to like go to shows, comedy shows, arrive like an hour early in the summer and just busk out front.
Oh, that's fantastic.
If you made a little bit of gas money, you'd be all right, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't have, like, I play the ukulele like it's a guitar. I don't have that ukulele strum. Okay. So I'm thinking of actually taking a couple of lessons just to get that strum down, you know? Because it would really improve the sound.
Yeah.
Exactly. If it's what I want to do, I should. Thank you, Thomas, for permission to chase my dreams.
I was going to say, no, if you don't know what you're doing, it's better. But I thought, no, if that's what
that'd be really fun. I've always wanted to busk, you know. I love playing other people's songs. I don't really write songs myself. It's certainly not. I come up with little riffs and then do nothing with them. But I love playing other people's songs. I love a floor filler, as they call them, you know, something that everybody recognizes.
Yeah.
A Sweet Home Alabama or a Footloose or something like that, you know?
That was the thing. Whenever I did learn a cover song, it wasn't songs anybody knew anyways.
Yeah, well,
it didn't really help.
It was John Frusciante, yeah.
I did have one guy come up to me at the No Frills once. He was like, "You're playing John Frusciante?" I was like, "Yeah."
Ah, that's awesome.
Hell yeah, brother.
Deep cut. That's
so
good.
you used to busk, right?
I did.
The No Frills Plaza in Burlington sometimes?
Yeah, I pulled in like $200 once.
Really?
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, in front of the LCBO was just under 2 hours, and it was the day before Thanksgiving.
Come on.
So it was closed the next day, so everybody was gone.
Right.
It was my hometown.
A little bit chilly.
People I knew gave me $5.
Yeah. Oh,
It was
that's
a good
great.
day.
Yeah, busking, it seems like it would be a lot of fun. I have been standing outside of places waiting for comedians to pick me up or waiting for comedians to arrive. Been playing and had people offer me money. And I'm like, no, man, I'm fucking waiting.
From you
I'm
just
not busking.
standing there or from busking?
Like
were they just assuming you were homeless? Oh, okay.
Not when I was homeless. That's when I was playing the stand-up bass.
Okay.
Not the best instrument for a homeless busker, for sure. So you've been in and out of bands, Thomas, and you've got a variety of instruments beside the accordion. What else have you got here? Guitars.
guitars. I played the trumpet on a few of those tracks there.
Oh, was that you who played the trumpet?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And all self-taught. Like you haven't...
Trumpet I took in grade 7 and 8
Right,
at school,
okay, fair
so it was
enough.
2 years.
Yeah, so you've got a bit of music theory there too.
Sure. To help figure out all the nonsense.
Like Roger Waters says, I can read music, it just takes too long.
Yeah, trumpet. I got a bass guitar. I had a banjo for a little while, and I ended up trading that in to get like my first ever like recording device, like a digital 4-track, which was very good at the time, and it kick-started my musicianship. But I do miss the banjo.
Nice.
My mom will say that once in a while too, that she misses the banjo.
Well, I'm sure you're gonna have a birthday this year. If Mama misses it that much, you can go out and you can buy one.
Auto harp, I think.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
It's like a big instrument with like 30 strings, and it's got buttons.
Nice.
Right? Okay. Yeah.
That mute
the
certain
auto harp.
strings, and then you can make chords with it. Yeah.
Nice.
I never got it tuned though. And it was also from Buy and Sell City, the pawn shop there.
What's going on with the musicians in Hamilton that they have to sell off such rare instruments? It's like the symphony was really struck by the COVID, I guess. No, it would have been before that, wouldn't it? So, yeah.
That was there for a few years, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was part of my haggling was, come on, man, like this has been here for 3 years, like give it to me for $100, you know? He's like, cash? Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
I
I like
got
it.
$50 off.
Yeah. You tune it yourself? Yeah, okay. It's never been tuned since.
No.
I would
there
imagine
any-
that'd be very difficult to tune. You got a really good ear? Can you tune a guitar?
Sure, but you can't like tune it to the real tuning. You can tune it to itself.
Tune it
by
to
your
itself.
ear.
Okay,
But
yeah.
with that thing, like it has like these square pegs. I thought maybe like a drum key would work, and it doesn't. And with pliers, there's like no leverage. There's no way. And
Interesting.
then I never bought it. Maybe it was like another $30. Oh, fuck, I'm not paying $30 for this fucking tuning key, which I should have if I spent
After you haggled so much for the other thing.
on the instrument.
Should have haggled
Not
them
too
down
late.
to 25 and taken it.
I still have it, so it's not too late. Someday.
No, absolutely. And so what happened after Tetro?
So Tetra was interesting because it was 4 people, and there was a bunch of different side things going on. So originally it was the drummer and the bass player, Luke and Lee. They had their own band. They were like crazy skilled. Like, I don't even know what, I don't want to offend them by giving them the wrong genre. I think they play like noise rock now, but they're very technical, very skilled instrumentalists, songwriters. And so they started coming, hanging around. Luke was my next door neighbor, so he was like my best pal.
Right.
Growing up from childhood.
Yeah, growing up. I've known him since I was, I think, 3 years old, We're very, very, very close friends. He's like my brother. So they had their own band, and, I always wanted to play. I used to watch his bands play in the basement. I'd sit down while they had band practice. He was in a few bands, too.
Right.
And eventually, I don't know how it happened, because I was never very good, but I would try, and I don't really know how it started. I was jamming with James for a long time. He was playing the drums. So we had like a 2-piece.
Nice.
I played guitar, he played drums. And then somehow our two pieces came together into one.
Right.
I don't know if one day I just picked up a guitar while Luke and Lee were playing, and then they're like, oh, we should do this more often,
Right.
know? And then so that went on for a while, and then I don't want to get into the details and be mean, but
That didn't work out. You moved on to your next
thank you.
collaboration.
I was about to let it in there. But that's okay.
Well, at least we were better
Save
to
it for
collaborate with
therapy.
than those guys, Alicia?
Well, our collaboration was a bit different, where we were just saying what we wanted and Tom was delivering. So it's a bit different.
Right.
But anyways, my most recent one is Macro Error. So Alan Van Lanschut did the drums on all your tracks there.
Oh, okay.
Thank
When
you,
we did
Alan. Thank
record
you.
them, we consulted together about different ideas and stuff too while we were doing the
Oh,
recording.
well, then shout out to him.
Yeah, and it's been fantastic. We got great energy. We read each other very well. He's actually my boss.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was like a slow thing, figuring out, hey, we like the same kind of music. We traded some guitar pedals. And then we ended up seeing Modest Mouse in concert together.
nice.
Right.
And then eventually
And
I
a
convinced him
bromance
to
was
jam.
born.
Yeah.
Wow,
He's a
you
hell
guys
of a
have-
drummer, and he never really played the drums too much before, He's,
Interesting.
He's very creative. He's an exceptional woodworker, very skilled.
So yeah, that's the other
my
thing.
boss.
You're not just a talented musician. You've also got another entry into the world of art in that you are a woodworker, you're a carpenter, or as they call them in Ireland, a chippy.
Chippy, that's right.
You chip away at the wood, right?
Yeah,
I think. I don't know. I'm guessing. Yeah. That's great. So I think that's amazing that you could like combine your day job and your call it your evening job.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
lucky. Yeah.
You guys could be on a building site somewhere, finish the bathroom, record an album, have your lunch, and start working on the bedrooms. That's
Yeah.
Is that the
That's
kind of
great.
woodworking you do, or is it more? It's more intricate than that. Not that framing isn't a tough job, or building houses isn't an art in itself. But I get the impression it's more niche than that.
Sure, yeah. There's all sorts of there's the furniture designation, which is like kind of freestanding, beautiful one piece. Then there's like kitchens and stuff like that, and vanities, wall units, or like a library, and the company I'm at is very, very awesome, fantastic, super cool work.
Right, small company or
no? They're pretty big. It's pretty big. Yeah, I was like watching them on Instagram for a little over a year.
You were stalking them?
Oh, totally, yeah. And at one point, I think I found a photo that said, "We're hiring Hamilton." I said, what the fuck? They're in Hamilton? No way. So I looked it up, and it was like 15 minutes from my house. I thought, fuck, I have to apply.
That's so perfect.
I didn't think I'd get the job. It was very scary. I wrote the cover letter. It was just super honest. This is it, or whatever it's
Letting it
called,
all
a cover
out.
letter.
Yeah. I have been following you on Instagram for quite some time.
Fuck, and then I got the job, and then that was it. Daisy has a piece of art somewhere, but the day I went and quit, she wrote, put it in my lunchbox. She was like, do what you love. We're here to support you. And I was like,
Aww.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, I'm very lucky. It's amazing.
Well-adjusted
amazing
people
place to
really
work.
get on my nerves, you know that. And Daisy deserves a shout out because she's an artist in her own right. I'm seeing beautiful paintings around this undisclosed location. An absolutely fantastic wall painting that's built into a clock. Fantastic. That's so handy. And I really love this ceiling. I'm going to sound like my parents here. They don't make ceilings like that anymore.
No, they don't.
No,
They don't.
there's very
I
few
wish there was
craftsmen that
lights
can do that. Yeah.
in this room, but it's,
Oh, you're going to have to kick through that to get some lights.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. No, I love it. Yeah, this was all very different. There was a massive wall here. We tore it all down. So
Yeah, it must be nice to be able to work on your own house.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I made the kitchen here. I put down all the flooring and stuff.
Nice.
Good. Yeah.
You've made a lot of more intricate kind of pieces, though. I don't know if that's stuff you've done for work or if it's just side projects. But what was it that you just did for the Masons?
Yeah, I do a gavel every December for my lodge. I'm a Freemason.
Oh yeah. We were wondering if we should ask you about that. We don't.
Yeah, how secretive is that? Can you ask you
you're not allowed to
questions?
talk about it, are you?
You can ask me whenever you want.
Really?
Answer all
Really?
your questions.
When are you guys planning on ending the world? No.
Well, how did you get involved with that?
Yeah. Did you come into it through the Illuminati, or does it work the other way? No.
In Burlington, there's a little door right beside the flower shop. It's got
Right,
a
the
square and
Masonic
compass above it.
Right.
And it was this little door, and I was like, what the hell is that? And I don't know, I was always interested in Egypt growing up, and I don't know, the mysteries.
Sure,
I'm not
yeah,
sure. So
yeah.
I was like, I want to join. So I just called someone. I was 18, and they were like,
Oh, I
well,
didn't know you've been part of it that long.
you're not allowed to join until you're 21.
Oh, okay.
Right.
And then you had to believe in a higher power, a supreme being, they call it. And I didn't believe in any of that.
Right.
But I
right.
really wanted to join. So it was this, I asked myself, what do I believe for 6 years? And I joined when I was 24.
Oh, cool.
I finally decided, okay.
All right.
this
Well,
is
in
what I
future, if someone asks you what do you believe, you say, I believe in the Almost There podcast.
That's the higher power.
That's my higher power. This thing's bigger than any of us.
Dan, we did not discuss about starting a cult. I didn't know that's what we were doing here.
Oh, wait till you see the robes I got. No.
Hey, it's fun. It's fun playing dress up.
Yeah.
I think we need a cult of like-minded artists who thrive in a non-competitive environment and boost each other up.
I love it. You said
For
it.
$12.95 a month.
Well, it's like a business. You got to pay a little bit. You got to meet somewhere, right?
Yeah.
You got to feed everybody.
That's it. Yeah.
Another fun project of yours that's coming to mind is the trophies you made for the Mario
That
Kart
was good.
tournament.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. how much do you find like you get to express yourself creatively with wood and all that stuff?
Yeah. So my personal projects that I do were always like these quests to try and do something new and exciting and to explore new avenues. Because previous to where I'm working now, I was never really challenged that much at work. I always found it pretty boring. So I was always like searching at home and trying to do something crazy and new, and you can do whatever you want. You're building it yourself, right? So that's why I would always try and do that. I thought, how cool would it be to make like a scale model of a Nintendo 64 cartridge? So I did that. I made a bunch of little N64 cartridges. I would burn the graphics into them, and then I made like a stand for it.
Nice.
Like I had the moon party, so I had this, like when people paint at cabinets, they have like the spinning stand so that they can rotate the door.
Right.
That they're painting.
I didn't know that, but that's really cool.
And it has 4 nails on it.
Right.
And over the year or two, it builds up with layers and layers and layers of paint.
Of course it does.
It actually has a name. I think Fordite. I might be wrong. But you cut it in half, and it looks like a gem.
Right.
So I mounted them on this like old paint board from work, and
oh wow,
it was the moon. The moon party, space, the final frontier, I called it.
Right, and it was just a big Mario Kart.
We did Mario Kart, Super Smash Brothers, and Pokemon Stadium, and then everybody dressed up.
Oh man, that was my gosh, that was the Weed Brownies party though.
Was the weed, yeah.
Oh my gosh, but yeah, so it was space themed, so we were all dressed space themed.
Yeah.
Someone came dressed as Sputnik. Was that?
Yeah, that was John Chan. Yeah, he took home a few trophies. Yeah.
Nice.
And then there was like
a Sputnik, the spaceship.
Yes.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, he had like 4 dowels.
A satellite or whatever.
Like, it was covered a helmet in tinfoil.
Well, before we go any further, I do want you to know we'll have our crack research team look into Fordite and find out if that's right. That's right.
Confirm.
If you can hear keyboards being hit in the background, they're already working on it.
Oh man.
Patrick, can you pull that up for us?
That sounds so cool. And it reminds me of when we were in university, we used to have these road hockey tournaments, right? And we had a trophy too. It was like 7 cans of tuna, like one that was like 5 liters, and then a 3 liter, and then a 2 liter, and then like a really thin one, and then like a family-sized one on top of that. It was called the Cloverleaf Cup.
That's great.
And it was
it empty cans of tuna?
No,
or were they full?
No, they were full.
Ooh,
Did you
so you
eat it?
get
Is
the
it for
tuna
eating?
too?
No.
Put them together, I guess.
Yeah, well, we had hockey tape. We taped them together into this like 3-foot high cup. And here's the thing about the Cloverleaf Cup: it was defended once. My house won it over a long weekend of road hockey, and then it was stolen. I think 6 or 8 times after that. Like we'd sneak into each other's houses and steal it back again.
That's the kind of friends you need to have.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it was great. I don't know where it is now, but yeah. I think the last time it was stolen, my buddy phoned me from Brampton. He's like, hey, you know what I'm looking at right now? I'm looking at the cup. I'm like, oh, fuck yourself. And I put the phone down because it was still on a cord. And I went to where I thought the Cloverleaf Cup was. I'm like, oh, it's not here.
Guess you're telling the truth.
Oh, that's amazing.
So we needed some carpenters in our group is what I'm learning. Because that thing would have been toxic by the time.
Yeah.
Life's not like that anymore, eh? Just hanging out, playing road hockey, going to your friends.
You know what? No. It's so funny you should say that because one of the friends, the guy from Brampton, that's what every time I bump into him, he's like, there's just no time for this anymore, is there? You know, like no time for hanging out. And it's so true. It's so true. And then if you get together and you drink too much like you used to, nobody remembers that you're all in bed by 11, right?
You got to make the time for it, though. It's important.
Absolutely. The ties that bind, right?
Yes. But the space party, I mentioned the weed brownies. So you had a coworker who made
fucking finisher.
Yeah, made the strongest brownies ever.
It was a very small tray too, so it was like 9
I don't
inches
know
by 9
what
inches
happened.
or something like.
But I showed up a bit late to that party, and when I got there, one of my friends was already like barfing, incapacitated by these brownies. So we spent some time, me and my friends who had also shown up a bit late, spent some time taking care of her. Then we had to like usher her out of the party because she was so sick. And then once she was gone, we were like, so should we try these brownies? And we did, and it was a bad idea.
I ended up. We're all just like, oh, those girls, and then like everyone else called me up the next day. Alex was like, those are really fucked up, man.
Yeah. Well, I remember
John.
I remember asking Alex, because he was helping Tamara, the one who was barfing at the time. I was like, so did you have some of the brownies too? And he just like looked at me and he was like, what? And his eyes were so red. And I was like, clearly the answer is yes. But then I just remember being so high that we just laid on the ground and we were like, we can't move. Like, we can't move. And then all of a sudden I really started getting the spins, and I just walked directly outside, walked by my friends who were smoking, went down into the garden, went on all fours and just barfed. And then I got up, I walked by my friend's now husband, and I was like, don't tell Olivia you saw this. And then I walked back into the house.
You texted me the next day. You're like, I think I puked in your.
Yeah, I was like, very sorry. Like an animal on all fours, like retching. It was terrible. And then continued to the party.
What younger listeners may need to realize that, like, pre-legalization, weed brownies were a crapshoot. You know
Such a risk.
Sure, yeah.
You know, like you could have a whole tray of weed brownies. One of them might have all the weed in it.
Yes.
And the rest of them would have none. It's like, did you stir this? Yeah, I stirred. No, you didn't stir it, did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
And nobody knew how much to put in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was only the second time I'd done them.
Nobody ever had a weed brownie party more than once a year.
Yeah.
It's like it takes a year to forget how horrible it was.
Oh, man. I had done edibles for the first time like the weekend before and also barfed. So when I first started doing edibles, I just barfed a lot. But that's why I told my friend's husband not to tell her that I puked, because she was like really upset for some reason that she's never around to help me puke. So when I was telling her about the first experience about me barfing, she's like, how come I'm never around when you barf? So when her like husband saw me barfing, I was like, she's going to be so jealous. You can't tell her. She's going to be so jealous you saw me barf.
That's hilarious.
So that's the kind of dysfunctional friendships I have.
At least you're putting her feelings first in some sort of strange
Always.
Yeah, you know, when you're like dying on the lawn, you're still thinking about your friends.
But also the kind of friend who's like, I just wish I could be there to take care of you. So much that I'm upset. It's beautiful.
Excellent. So when are we going to hear some music from this new twosome you're working on? Do you guys have a name yet? You need a name.
Yeah, macro error.
Macro error. That is a computer reference.
That's correct. Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Because we got a CNC machine at work. Again, to work. Well, that's what it's going to be about, I guess, because we met through work.
A CNC machine? It makes whiskey?
Computer numerical control.
Ooh.
So the original ones, I think, were like on ticker tape of, I don't know, ones and zeros, and you would write it in, and it would. It's basically you draw a picture using coordinates and math, and sometimes algebra,
right?
And it'll do whatever you tell it. Cut a circle, drill some holes, and so on. So
right. Okay.
We had they got the machine, and we had some issue, and it kept saying like macro error. We're like, what the fuck is this macro error?
Yeah.
You know. So then when we were trying to think of a band name, we're like, what about macro error?
Yeah. So when people ask you what is macro error mean, you're like, we don't actually know.
That's the problem. We're playing a show on I think July 29th.
I like it.
I'll reconfirm that it's going to be at the Casbah for a Sing for Mental Health event.
Oh, brilliant!
Nice.
Yeah,
I like
it'll be
that.
very nice. There's a bunch of people going. It's being hosted by a guy named Cam Wilson. I believe his Instagram is Cam Wilson Music. We also have an Instagram. Plug in. Macro error.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
Is it
called
macro underscore error?
I don't know. I think it's macro error dot. Or something. There might be an underscore in there somewhere.
Okay, there's your
We'll
homework,
find it.
ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen.
Yeah,
Work
yeah.
hard to find Thomas's band.
Yes, there you go.
Do you have any band names that you haven't used yet?
I had one that I never
mind?
performed under, but I jammed with for a while. It was called End Wall. It was also
End Wall?
Yeah, it was also a little bit work related.
That's it?
Yeah, there was
Dan, do you have any unused band names?
I'm not going to share them here. They'll get stolen. They'll get stolen. One of my favorite things of all time, my buddy will not admit to this, but when I was in bands in high school, my buddy, our singer in our band, he said we should call ourselves Freezer Bunny.
Bunny?
Freezer Bunny. Bunny. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. What could that possibly mean? He's like, to this day, if I bring it up, he's like, I never said that, man. I never said that.
That's a good name. I don't know.
I think it would work better now than it would then. It has certain, like, who would want to hurt a bunny? Like, I don't think we were like the kind of punk band that could pull off Freezer Bunny is what I'm
Was it a
saying.
punk band?
No, it wasn't.
Oh.
We weren't a punk band at all. We were mostly a tragically hip cover band at that time. You know what I mean? Once again, floor fillers, right? What do people want to hear,
great.
right?
Yeah.
Freezer Bunny, the tragically hip cover.
That's
band.
great. Every time you keep saying that, I like that.
Interesting.
Freezer
I think
Bunny.
we'd get a letter from Tragically Hip
Cease and
LLC.
desist. Yeah.
Please cease and desist.
I feel like band names don't have to make sense. They just have to be words that sound good together.
Yeah. Something that's identifiable. I'm sure in the digital age, there's a whole process for naming your band so that people can find you online.
Interesting.
Yeah, and like knowing the name that you come up with is probably good advice in the digital age too.
Don't pick one that's magic.
I'm picking on you because obviously Alicia does all the social media for the podcast. Yeah, I end up scratching my head at that stuff. Macro error every time I try anything.
Dan's brain is on a constant macro error.
Yes, that's right. I need a vacation. I need a mini retirement from my many projects. But that's been a wonderful chat, Thomas. I want to thank you for opening up your home to us. Yeah. I'm really sad we didn't get to meet the baby and your lovely wife, but we can always come back. We know where you live now.
Yeah. No invitation required. We'll just be here.
Find Macro Error. Go and find this show at the Casbah, an amazing venue to watch anything at, and go and support. What is it? Voices for Mental Health?
Sing for Mental Health.
Sing for Mental Health. I love it.
by Cam Wilson.
Cam Wilson.
This is all in Hamilton.
Put Cam Wilson on the list to speak to. We'll speak to him closer to the time.
Perfect.
I don't know who he is. If he's half as interesting as Thomas, it'll be a great conversation.
Thanks a lot for coming to my house, guys. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thanks.
That was fun. That was a good interview. I enjoyed that. So here we are at one of our closing segments. This one's called Dan Splains. Alicia, do you know what this is all about?
No, but it sounds like you should explain it to us.
Well, I guess that's right in the name, isn't it? This is the segment of the show where you're going to indulge me and I'm going to talk about things that I nerd out about.
Awesome.
So for this first one, I probably shouldn't have sprung this on you, but do you have a favorite word?
Oh, I do. I've got one locked and loaded.
Oh, really?
Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, you got... Oh, my goodness. All right.
My favorite word is butthole. And and it's funny, I've got this locked and loaded because I've told many people that butthole is my favorite word.
I feel like you're the kind of person who would walk into a room and declare that.
And announce it, yes, maybe.
Not wait
maybe
till someone says, hey, what's your favorite word?
Yeah, but it's just great. Like, it's got like the B, the T, butthole. It's just a great word.
It's just a very versatile word.
I feel like it always is a bit of a shock when you throw out a butthole.
Right.
Yeah, there's some shock value to it.
Also your like number one insult too? Would you call someone a butthole if they were wronging you?
I don't think. No, I call someone a turd, actually. That's my worst insult. Anyways, do you have a favorite word?
Yes, that's why I brought it up.
Oh.
My favorite word, you ready for this? It's ubiquitous.
Ooh.
Oh, I just love the way it makes my mouth feel when I say it. It means ever present. So that's the other thing I love about it. It's always there for me.
Aww.
It's not a touching moment. That was my big joke.
I know,
That's what Dan Splains is about, is me trying to sneak a joke into this podcast.
So is it actually your favorite word, or you just like the pun?
No, I that and free are my favorite words. If someone says that's free, I'm like, whoa, that's my... I'm quite in there.
Well, that makes sense as to why we get along so well.
Like, it's such a unique combination of letters, and it really does make your mouth move and feel.
Yeah.
If you're like a nerd for the talking arts, if you will.
Yeah, that's how I feel about butthole.
I feel like our words are not remotely connected, although your use of butthole is ubiquitous. I don't know if a word or a butthole can be ever present.
Well, if there is one, it is definitely butthole.
Right. All right. Well, that was fun.
On that note.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening to the podcast. Feel free to follow us on Instagram at...
Yes. Almost There CA.
I didn't know the answer to that. That's why I had to throw it to you.
I'm pretty sure that's correct.
Right.
So.
We're also on Spotify. We'd love it if you could give us a follow there.
Yes.
We get excited about the analytics from Spotify. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the episode.
Talk to you next time.
Excellent. Talk soon. Bye.